This is Dan Brown from Samopol, and thought I'd do a quick video on comparison of a Czech surplus barrel to a variety of US made barrels. So I've been seeing this issue for a long time now with US made barrels. They're typically undersized in both of these places where they fit the trunnion, or one or the other. So it's really, I just never know. So I have to measure each one. And every US made barrel, I actually have to increase the diameter because they're typically undersized, either in both areas or one area, like I mentioned. So I have to increase the diameter by knurling on the lathe, dressing it down. And then also the chamber face, the ramp on the chamber face is typically incorrect also. So gonna make a video and really detail what I'm seeing and what we should see with a good barrel. So this is a surplus barrel, and the measurement here at the front of the trunnion should be 12.55 millimeter, and the tolerance can be minus 0.02. And then here where the barrel pin goes through, you can actually see the groove there. That should be 13.03 millimeter, again with a tolerance of 0.02 minus. So, and I've got a few barrels here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna zoom in and we'll take some measurements, and then after the measurements are done, we'll look at chamber faces. So I'm gonna zoom in. Okay. All right, I use a micrometer, very accurate. And if you see the numbers here are the last 2 digits, the last 3 digits of a customer's parts kit. So I mean, these are actually gonna be modified. I need to modify the 3 barrels I'm gonna show you because I'm building guns or pressing barrels in. So, all right, the first measurement here, hopefully, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Hopefully this comes out okay. Kind of move it to the side here. So I'm not taking the measurement on this ring here because that ring is for the original, call it sound suppressor, the original silencer. So that measurement does not matter. What matters is this measurement, and then this measurement here, just like in the photo. Okay. So here we have 12.505. I'll do it again. 12.504. And the minimum, as you can see, well, you saw earlier, it should be 12.53. So this is undersized, so I need to knurl that. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. 13.007. Let's go ahead and take another measurement. I like to take it a couple of times. 13.008. 13.007. So, and this should be 13.01 minimum. So I would go ahead and knurl both of these and bring them right up to the max spec. So this needs to be put on the lathe and knurled. Okay, so next one. I'll speed this up a little bit quicker. 12.519, 12.52. So this one falls just short. I dropped to 519, but even 52. It should be 12.53. And next. 13.022. 13.025, and this one can be as low as 13.01. So this here that's good to go. This one needs to be tightened up. The other thing too that's a factor, this is a threaded barrel, so chances are the person who sends this in is going to use a sound suppressor. And what do you do with a sound suppressor is you torque it on tight. So the barrels really have to be at the far end of spec just to make sure they don't loosen up in the trunnion. Because like a VZ58 rifle, a VZ61 barrel, the barrel pin will only do so much. If you don't have a proper tight interference fit, the barrel pin's not going to keep that barrel tight. And again, that's especially really for both VZ58 and VZ61. So when I see threads on here, I know chances are the customer is going to be torquing a silencer, keeping it tight on and off. And just that movement can, if the barrel's on the smaller end of spec with the outside diameter, then the barrel pin could loosen up even though I put them in nice and tight. And so I will address this barrel also. Okay. All right, so here's another US made barrel, of course. .512, 12.513. So again, this should be 12.53. I need to knurl that on the lathe. Increase that diameter. .02, 13.02. So this could be as low as 13.01, and that would be fine. So this is good. But this barrel, I need to knurl and increase the diameter right here where it contacts a trunnion. And again, like the other barrel, this is threaded. So you know there's gonna be a lot of torque with a silencer, keeping it tight while they're shooting. And that really just, the barrel wants to loosen up, and it will if there's not a proper interference fit. Now let's take an original surplus barrel. These are my preferred ones, and I'll cut to the chase. Buy surplus buy surplus Czech barrels. They're my favorite. And a close second, and to be honest, I'm equally happy with them also, is the Czech Small Arms new production barrels made by CSA. So if you're gonna buy a barrel, I highly recommend you stick with Czech, either old Czechoslovakian surplus barrels like this one, and they're chrome lined just like this new CSA barrels are chrome lined also. So stick with both those barrels. All right, so we're gonna take a measurement here. Okay, all right, let's 12.544, 12.545, we'll take one more, 12.546. So this one, again, I've never seen a surplus barrel be undersized. Never had to correct one. They're so consistent, it's really surprising to me. So that measurement is awesome. Okay, 13.041. Do it again. 13.043. Let's just make sure I don't put the caliper on the groove there. 13.044. So you can see this one is actually a little, I'll back up here. So this one is just a little bit larger. So, and I see that quite often with surplus barrels. So I really like the tighter interference fit. So I'll take that all day long. I really prefer to see it. So this is a perfect barrel. Now, the other thing we're going to take a look at, where I see some US made barrels are much worse than others when it comes to the ramp on the chamber face. So we're going to do some close-ups comparing all of these. Actually, let's see. I'll try to zoom in and keep it still. So take a look at that ramp below the chamber opening. I'm going to try to keep it steady, and I'm going to point to it. You probably see it already. Look how wide that lip is. That is certainly going to cause a feeding issue. Now look at how thin that lip is on the surplus barrel. And Czech small arms barrels, I don't have one to show you, but also have a very nice lip as the surplus ones. And every US made barrel that comes in, I have to recontour. I put it on the lathe, I chuck it in, I cut the feed ramp again and make it so that the that lip right there looks like the surplus or the Czech small arms new production. So if you're installing barrels yourself and you can tap it in easy right off the bat, that's no good. You should not be able to tap in a barrel with the bolt. If you put one in, it really, with a hammer, you need to use like a brass punch, and you need to do it on cement. You need a stable, you just cannot put them in. And they're so tight. When I press out surplus barrels, and I remember I did 75 in one day. I had help, of course, so I was pressing them out. The popping sound of pressing, because the interference fit was so tight, the popping sound was ringing my ears. After about 5, it was like my ears were ringing from shooting a 22. And so my guy and me, the first time I did like 75, we were just a machine doing them. And some popped more than others, some not as much. But that showed me like how tight these barrels are in a VZ61 trunnion when it makes that popping sound and my ears ring. So that gives you, I just want to like really, drive it home about the interference fit. So anyway, back to the ramp. So you can see that's going to cause a feeding issue, especially if you're using 32 ACP semi-spec ammo. I get customers sending their uppers to me, and I know exactly what it is. They put the barrel in themselves. I got to press the barrel out, and I reshape, I cut this and polish it, of course, and I eliminate their feeding issues. But it can also be a tolerance stacking issue where your magazine well is at the far end of spec, your magazine is at the far end of spec, you're pulling on the magazine while shooting, or you're pushing it forward while shooting. I've seen that too with customers. So if things just aren't really just meshing well, that ramp, your bullet tip is going to just get stuck right on it and put a dent in the tip of your bullet. Okay. All right, next one. So you can see, again, way too wide. I'm not sure why. I don't know. Hopefully a barrel manufacturer, hopefully they're watching this video at some point, and they can really make their barrels that more like surplus. So again, that will cause a feeding issue. So it's the one without the threads, and then the one with the threads, same issue. So all 3 of these barrels I need to chuck in the lathe. I've got to knurl one or both places. I've got to recut the ramp on the chamber face so the customer will not have feeding issues. Because of course, if I put a barrel in and it has feeding issues, it comes back on me. But luckily, I know all these little pitfalls of these barrels, and I can press your barrel in, get it to you. And in doing this with my business now 4 years, I've had exactly 0 issues of people coming back with loose barrels or guns not feeding, and they're using SMB, Full Metal Jacket, Privy Partisan, they're using CIP spec. So anyway, this video turned out longer than I thought, but I really wanted to dive into the details. So if you're still watching this, appreciate you following. And anyway, that's it. And I appreciate watching.